afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the captain, just a little after 12 o'clock noon, and time for an update on our progress on a lovely sunny day out here in the North Atlantic. So our position at noon today was 42 degrees and 59 minutes north and 55 degrees 56 minutes west. This position places us closest point of land being Sable Island off Nova Scotia, which is 180 nautical miles away. Sable Island is a small island situated around 119 nautical miles southeast of Halifax in Nova Scotia, and also about 109 miles southeast of the closest point of mainland Nova Scotia. And year-round it's home to about 5 people only, with summer numbers swelled by tourists, scientists and others. So since we left Halifax yesterday, we proceeded in a southeasterly heading out into the Atlantic, passing Sable Island in the middle of the night, and now continuing out towards the 200-mile economic exclusive zone boundary, 200 miles from Nova Scotia. And then around 1800 this evening we will turn from a southeasterly heading to a more easterly heading, skirting this 200-mile boundary, and then as we get to the tail of the banks, a more northeasterly heading as we start the Great Circle track across the central part of the Atlantic Ocean. And as we approach the tail of the bank, that's the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, we will pass at around 11 p.m. this evening about 115 nautical miles to the north of the final resting place of the R.M.S. Titanic. So that'll be out to our starboard side between 11 p.m. and midnight tonight. And as we're crossing the Grand Banks, the water depth currently down at ocean depths of between 3,000 and 4,000 metres. So the ocean depths will shelve as we go over the Grand Banks, and we're going to cross the tail of the bank, and the depth will be typically between 24 and 101 metres in depth, but actually as we're just going over the tail, almost around 100 metres. The Grand Banks are a group of underwater plateaus southeast of Newfoundland. They are still on the North American continental shelf, fairly shallow. Cold Labrador current brings the cold water from the Davis Strait southwards, and here it mixes with the warm waters of the Gulf Stream, which come up from the Gulf of Mexico, and the mixing of these waters and the shape of the ocean bottom lifts nutrients to the surface, helping to create one of the richest fishing grounds in the world. So out and about, roundabout, ladies and gentlemen, lovely day, smooth seas, but as we're just getting into the main axis of the Gulf Stream as well, warm water, so lots of fish around as well, and where there's fish there's dolphins, and where there's dolphins there's sometimes whales as well, so just keep looking out. You could see occasionally something popping up to have a look. Lots of fish, dolphins, whales in this area of the sea as we head for the Grand Banks. Here's Sean Gould, our deck cadet. He'll tell you exactly where we are and how fast we're going.
Thank you, Captain. Since departure from Halifax until noon today, Queen Mary 2 has steamed a total distance of 360 nautical miles at an average speed of 20 knots. This leaves a further distance of 2,305 nautical miles left to the pilot station in Southampton. The ship's heading is 100 degrees and our current speed is 17.3 knots. The depth under the keel is 4,000 metres or 13,100 feet, and the sea temperature is currently 21 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The weather at present, we've got some clear skies with cloudy patches, temperatures of around 22 degrees Celsius, and winds from our south up to force 9, which is about 11 to 16 knots. Moving into tonight and tomorrow, the temperatures will continue to increase slightly as we continue to the east, reaching up to 24 degrees Celsius or 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds from the south up to 15 knots. Our current forecast for tomorrow is looking fairly similar. In the morning, with winds up to 15 knots from the south, 1 metre swells from the south-east, with fog closing in during the evening. The temperature should remain around highs of 23 degrees Celsius or 73 degrees Fahrenheit. And ladies and gentlemen, some information for those of you who are interested in the R.M.S. Titanic. The Titanic was built at the Harold and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. She was launched in 1912 as the largest ship in the world, and little knowing that she would soon become the most infamous ocean liner. Her sinking on the 15th of April resulted in the deaths of more than 1,500 people, which made it one of the deadliest peacetime maritime disasters in history. Lying at a depth of about 12,500 feet, the wreck lies in two main pieces about a third of a mile apart. The bow is still largely recognisable in spite of its deterioration and the damage it suffered hitting the sea floor, and has a great deal of preserved interiors. The stern is completely ruined due to the damage it suffered while sinking. A substantial section of the middle of the ship broke apart and is scattered in chunks across the seabed. The debris field, covering about 5 by 3 miles, which is 8 kilometres by 4.8 kilometres, around the wreck contains hundreds of thousands of items spilled from the ship as she sank, ranging from passengers' personal effects to machinery, furniture, utensils and coal, as well as fragments of the ship herself. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you all have a wonderful afternoon at sea on board the Queen Mary 2. I will now pass you on to our German hostess, Vanessa.